At 33 years old, Joette Marie Smith owned a restaurant in Ben Lomond. Newspaper clips show how friends in 1983 say it almost felt like she knew her days were numbered.
83 cold case, the suspect decided to take his own life. Joette Marie Smith.
Smith was found strangled and bruised. She had also been raped. Detectives at the time started to get leads by interviewing employees.
The oldest case solved, Joette Smith, 1983. What could have happened to the sweet and fun Joette? Who was her killer? This was an unanswered question for 39 years. The last strand that eventually saved this case was technology, and we will be looking at how that happened in this video. But before we start, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to this channel. The Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office reports that 33-year-old Buffalo Gals restaurant owner Joette Marie Smith disappeared before midnight on March 27, 1983. Ben Lomond is located about 30 miles southwest of San Jose. After 2 days, she was discovered in the San Lorenzo River. According to a 1983 story in the Santa Cruz Sentinel, witnesses informed investigators that Smith and her roommate Rachel Devereaux had spent the evening prior to Smith's disappearance eating popcorn and watching the television series The Thornbirds. Across the street from Smith's eatery, the two roommates shared a small flat. Devereaux stated that she and Smith, a single lady who is very committed to her career, remained up to watch the 11 o'clock news before Smith made some phone calls, and Devereaux went to bed. Smith wasn't there when Devereaux woke up at 3 a.m., which apparently wasn't out of the ordinary for her. Her going out wasn't something out of the ordinary. Devereaux said in an interview from 1983 that she frequently visited the eatery. The Sentinel reports that Smith went to a bar in the area and was disappointed to find it closed. She then went to Henfling's bar, only to discover that it was also about to close. She bought a pack of cigarettes there but turned down a ride home from a familiar female server, saying she'd rather walk because the weather was nice. Smith was last seen on March 27, 1983, at 11:50 p.m., when he left a local bar known as Henfling's Tavern. The Valley Press reports that 2 days later, her body was discovered beaten and injured, snagged on a tree near the river. The remainder of Smith's wardrobe was reportedly hidden a quarter of a mile away, but she was only wearing a string of pearls, nylon on her leg, and a black boot when she was discovered in 1983. The sheriff's office claims that despite extensive investigation over many years during which dozens of people were interviewed and several leads and tips were investigated, but no viable suspect was identified, the case remains unsolved. In 1988, authorities thought they had a lead in the case when they found out that Drummond had asked Smith out on a date at Smith's restaurant. She said no, and he abruptly skipped out of California after the woman's death.
Smith was found strangled and bruised. She had also been raped. Detectives at the time started to get leads by interviewing him.
Drummond had sexual assault convictions in both California and Nevada, as further research revealed. The sheriff's office stated that while there was circumstantial information tying Drummond to the crime, criminal charges could not be filed against Drummond due to a lack of physical evidence. Drummond was sentenced to 18 months in jail in 1980 for 3 violent attacks and attempted rapes in Nevada that occurred within a 2-week period, 2 of which involved women at massage parlors, according to Santa Cruz County Lieutenant Patrick Dymick. After his release, he attempted to rape another woman in Nevada while at a massage parlor. It is unknown whether he was successful in this attempt. According to Dymick, he spent 16 months in prison for attempted homicide and assault in Redding in 1983 after Smith's murder. According to Dymick, he spent 4 years in prison in Nevada for an assault on a family in 1988, in which he badly battered the father and stole a car. Dymick told the Chronicle that the sampling tools used in the 1990s to achieve a DNA match were significantly less advanced than they are now. The investigation was revived recently. In addition, modern DNA testing techniques were applied to a re-examination of Smith's clothing in early 2022. Her killer's profile was developed, and a DNA sample from Drummond was collected by the police. A profile match was found in the sample. When Smith was murdered, she was well known and well liked in the community. According to the Valley News Archive, her eatery was well liked by the community since it was decorated like Grandma's Parlor. Buffalo Gals featured performances and a merch stand. Her death came just as business was beginning to pick up. Smith apparently told her closest friends in the weeks preceding her sexual assault and murder that she expected to die at a young age, making for an intriguing epilogue to her life. She donated valuables, tracked down long-lost friends and family members, and otherwise showed her appreciation by reconnecting with them after long periods of silence. For her friends, Smith was a wonderful woman who was full of vigor, hospitable, and full of happiness, as reported by the Sentinel. She was raised in a Polish Catholic household in Nebraska, and around 10 years before she passed away, she relocated to Santa Cruz. Drummond, her killer, chose to end his life in the hills of Sierra County, the investigators wrote, just as they were getting closer to obtaining an arrest warrant. The sheriff's office in a statement said that while Drummond will never face criminal charges, they are certain that the evidence in this criminal case would support a sentence of Drummond for the murder of Joette Smith. During a phone conversation with the Chronicle, Smith's 59-year-old sister, Yvette Smith Nixic, said that the news that the sheriff's office had located her sister's killer, but that he was dead, had triggered a whirlwind of emotions. Nixic, who also resides in Omaha, Nebraska, where Smith spent her young years, said, "Long ago, I just came to the idea that they probably would never identify her killer. Although his passing was a disappointment, I do not feel that justice was served. The closure has been reached because of the genetic match." Nixic, then a college student in Omaha, was 20 when a police officer who knew her family came to the door and said a detective from Santa Cruz County wanted to talk to them. The report was heartbreaking. Nixic says that her family had planned to have a viewing before the funeral, but they couldn't because the body had already started to break down. Smith's family spread his ashes in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California. She said the family had been in shock for a long time and could barely do anything. Smith's mom will never be the same again. Nixic said that she didn't seem to be as excited about life as she used to be. Nixic, on the other hand, dropped out of school when there was still half a semester left. For a long time, Smith's family thought that her killer was someone she knew or had dated. At one point, the police thought that the person who attacked her might be the notorious Golden State Killer. Smith never told anyone about what she did with Drummond. Nixic said that she didn't think her sister would have brought up the fact that her sister had turned him down. The speaker said, "I don't think it was a big deal." Her family said she moved to California in the early 1970s after studying to become an art teacher, but decided she liked the more relaxed atmosphere of Ben Lomond's restaurant scene better. A big celebration for the 8th anniversary of the Buffalo Gals restaurant was being planned when Smith tragically passed away, according to Rachel Devereaux. Smith's youngest sister, Annette Anderson, who was a high school senior when she died, remembers her as a free spirit who would help anyone in need, even animals. Anderson from Papillion, Nebraska said, "Cats would just show up at her house. She was everything a hippie should be, free-spirited, funny, and disrespectful." Smith's Buffalo Gals was a hit with both locals and tourists during the short time she ran it. Its homey atmosphere and unique menu made it a favorite among both groups. It had chairs and tables that didn't match, daily menus that Smith made from scratch, and pig memorabilia all over the place. Anderson laments that she would have liked more people to have met her sister, whom she describes as ahead of her time, and who, had she been alive today, might have been on the Food Network. She also misses her brother and parents, who passed away in 2021, and hopes they're around to finally experience the peace of mind they've been seeking. In 2018, her mother would have been 100 years old. Even though Anderson's optimism began strong, it gradually faded over the course of several decades. "I really appreciate that they reopened the case instead of leaving it closed and dusty. The sheriff's office offers its deepest sympathies to Joette Smith's loved ones," the statement read. "We want to assure the people of Santa Cruz that the sheriff's office will keep looking into each and every one of our homicides," they said. There was at least closure, even though the killer of Joette Smith took his own life. It is sad that this happened, but the best part is they figured out who the killer was. Make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to this channel.